In April 2021, nearly half of Russia's Caspian flotilla made the journey to the Black Sea. 15 warships traveled up the Volga River, passed through the Volga-Don Canal, then descended the Don River into the Sea of Azov, and finally proceeded through the Kerch Strait. The entire journey took exactly 10 days. By comparison, a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier takes about the same amount of time to cross the Atlantic, covering over 4,000 miles. The ship's journey highlighted how inefficient the traditional route from the Caspian to the Azov Sea via the Volga-Don Canal is. Notably, it's not just military vessels but also commercial ships that use this route. The artery, laid out in the 1940s, clearly cannot handle the current volume of traffic. This is why there is renewed discussion in Moscow about implementing the mega-project Eurasia Canal. This canal aims to connect the western coast of the Caspian Sea with Rostov-on-Don almost in a straight line. The hydraulic structure will be 4 times longer than the Suez Canal and nearly 10 times the length of the Panama Canal. Most of it will follow the natural Kumamanic depression, which is expected to keep construction costs within reasonable limits. Who came up with the idea to split the continent in two? What prospects will the construction of this mega-canal open for Russia and the Caspian countries? What will the Eurasia Canal be like in technical terms? We will definitely cover this and much more in this video. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we continue. First, let's look at how ships move from the Caspian Sea to the Sea of Azov today. As mentioned, ships need to travel up the Volga River from the mouth of the Great River to Volgograd. The distance here is relatively short, less than 300 miles. Even cargo ships cover it in a day. The issue is that the height difference between the Volga and the Don at the entry points to the canal is 144 feet, with the Volga being lower. Additionally, there are natural elevations between the rivers that cannot be bypassed. Because of this, the highest point of the Volga-Don Canal, the Varvarskoye Reservoir, is a full 300 feet above the Volga level. To lift and lower ships to such a height, a complex system of 13 locks has been created. The process of moving through them looks like this: the flagship of the Caspian flotilla, the small missile cruiser Grad Svyazk, enters the first lock from the Volga side. The lock is closed on both sides and begins to fill with water. When the water level rises by about 4 meters, it aligns with the water level of the next section on the way to the Don. Then, the pontoon on the Don side opens, and the ship moves to the next lock. This operation repeats 13 times on the way to the Don, with the difference being that on the descent to the Don, water is drained from the locks. Each of these maneuvers takes several hours, so ships have to wait in line. This is the main reason for the long journey of the Caspian flotilla to the Black Sea. Of the 10 days of travel, they spent a good half navigating the locks. However, the large number of locks is not the main problem with the Volga-Don Canal. Designed 70 years ago, it is simply too small for today's needs. The depth of the lock chambers allows passage for ships with a draft of no more than 3.5 meters. Only River Sea-class barges can barely squeeze through here. The width of the locks is only 60 feet, which is very narrow. For comparison, the width of the small missile ship Grad Svyazk is 36 feet, so even its captain had to be extremely careful when navigating the locks. Considering that the width of modern container ships and tankers starts at 100 feet, the Volga-Don Canal is absolutely impassable for them. To establish a full-fledged sea route from the Caspian to the Black Sea, a complete reconstruction of this Stalin-era artery would be required. However, this would be extremely expensive. Hence, the idea to revive the Eurasia Canal project emerged. This idea was first voiced back in 2007 during a meeting between Putin and the president of Kazakhstan, Nazarbayev. For Kazakhstan, a major oil exporter, such a canal would be immensely beneficial, as it would allow the transportation of oil by tankers to any point in the world. However, the true salvation would be for Iran, which faces periodic sanctions. Through this Russian artery, Tehran could export oil to Europe by tankers, bypassing the Suez Canal, which would mark a shift in the geopolitical order. It is possible that it was these kinds of prospects that led to the Eurasia Canal project being shelved for over a decade and a half. During this time, the Kremlin tried to cultivate a relationship with the West, including by supporting anti-Iranian sanctions. But today, times are clearly changing, so such an ambitious project might be taken off the shelf. There is no doubt that this is a project of planetary scale. A glance at the map with the Eurasia Canal scheme is enough to realize how grandiose a waterway is being planned. While the length of the Volga-Don Canal is 63 miles, the path along the bottom of this depression will exceed 460 miles. To navigate this route, no more than 8 locks need to be built, which will significantly speed up traffic. The annual cargo flow through the canal is expected to exceed 150 million tons, which is 12 times more than the best years of the Volga-Don Canal. But where do all these figures come from, the attentive viewer might ask. After all, the Eurasia Canal is still just an idea. The fact is that it has long been designed. The draft project of the artery was prepared by the Hydrotech Expertise Center 11 years ago. The parameters of the future Eurasia Canal are detailed and not secret. As fantastical as it sounds, engineers do indeed plan to separate Europe from Asia in the Kalmykia region. They will be helped in this endeavor by groundwork laid back in the Stalin era. The fact is that the Kumamonik Canal was designed and even started in the 1930s. Had it not been for the war, the Volga-Don Canal probably wouldn't exist. Instead, a direct waterway from the Caspian to the Azov would have opened in the mid to late 1940s. However, the Great Patriotic War forced the USSR leadership to abandon the grand plan. After the war, there was a need to economize on everything, so the cheaper Volga-Don Canal project was chosen to connect the two seas. Nonetheless, our predecessors managed to do significant work in the pre-war decades. In particular, they connected bodies of water located at the lower points of the Kumamonik Depression with canals. Additionally, new reservoirs were created, through which navigation traffic was later planned. The results of this grand work are still visible in satellite images today. Essentially, 80% of the Eurasia Canal was already created by Stalin's engineers, and today, it only remains to deepen the waterway, create locks, and complete the canal to the seas. According to expert estimates, this work will cost about $5 billion. This amount seems astronomical only at first glance. For example, about $7 billion were spent on the Crimean Bridge. Thus, the cost of the Eurasia Canal will be roughly equivalent to 2 bridges across the Kerch Strait. According to economists' estimates, the project will pay for itself within 11 years if the canal is adapted for ships of at least 10,000, and preferably 15,000 tons. The Eurasia Canal could become a logistical salvation not only for Iran with its oil tankers. For a decade now, China has been implementing the new Silk Road project, one branch of which will pass through Kazakhstan. For the Chinese, it would be incredibly advantageous to extend the railway to the Caspian Sea. From there, goods from AliExpress could be transferred to container ships and distributed via the shortest route to European countries through the Black and Mediterranean Seas. It is most cost-effective to do this using Panamax-class container ships, which can hold up to 5,000 containers but are relatively small. The width of such ships is 105 feet, with a draft of about 40 feet. Therefore, to use the Eurasia Canal as an extension of the Silk Road, engineers would need to double the depth of the locks compared to the existing project. However, the economic benefits for Russia would increase significantly in this case. The canal could handle massive cargo movements from 4 countries: China, Iran, Azerbaijan, and Kazakhstan. This would allow Russia to earn tens of billions of dollars annually, making the Eurasia Canal a sort of alternative to the Suez Canal. Besides economic benefits, this would also noticeably strengthen Russia's position on the world stage. Regarding financing, investors are eagerly waiting for the go-ahead to start implementing the project. At least, numerous signals in the press indicate this. Major financial groups from Russia, China, Kazakhstan, and, of course, Iran, are ready to invest in Eurasia as soon as tomorrow. However, this requires a political decision made at the Kremlin level. It is possible that this decision will come immediately after the completion of the Nord Stream 2. After all, there can never be too many national projects. That's all for now, friends. Share this video if you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and share your opinions in the comments. See you soon.